Okay, so hello everybody. I'm Amy with AJ's Vintage Designs. I'm one of the brand ambassadors for Dixie-Belle. And tonight we're gonna be doing a little boho. I've already started it, kind of got it in stages, so you're gonna be able to see a little bit of everything. I'm gonna be doing boho and I'm gonna be doing some decoupage. Right now, what I've done basically is I cleaned this piece, I rinsed it. Well, actually, Joey cleaned it and Joey rinsed it. But he cleaned it really well. And then I didn't do any primers. I didn't do Boss and I didn't do Slick Stick because of the fact that I'm kind of going for a boho look. And so I'm not worried about brush strokes. I'm not worried about any of that kind of stuff. Boho is great for beginners because you're adding, you don't have to worry about texture. You don't have to worry about smoothness. Your blend does not have to be perfect. So boho is great for a beginner. And so this, you normally don't see me do a lot of bright colors like this for a piece like this for me to be able to sell in my area. But this is a piece I'm keeping for myself. I'm going to be putting this in the center. I'm gonna cut out this area where the hardware is at, so there'll be no decoupage here, and then I'll have it going down here. So each one of these recessed areas is gonna get a decoupage. I'll be doing 2 of the doors tonight. Now you notice I've got a light color here. And that is because this is drop cloth. You can put any color you want. I just wanted a light color underneath because anywhere where you see white, see it's kind of a little bit translucent. Anywhere you see white or even with these lighter colors, when the paper gets wet, it's going to, whatever color is underneath is gonna muddy up your color on top. So this white would basically, if I did the pure ocean or the Gulf all the way in this area, those colors are going to show through the tile. So I went with drop cloth because it's very neutral, it's similar to these colors, and so I would have a clean decoupage. Normally I do the iron-on decoupage. Today I'm not going to be doing that. I'm just doing these small recessed panels, so I'm not doing the iron-on method, but that's normally what I use. Okay, so like I said, this is gonna be the plan, and that's where I'm getting the colors from. Okay, well you see here we have some rusty nail kind of colors, and some of them have some Colonel Mustard in there. So after I get this all painted, hopefully tonight I'll be able to at least do 1 door. I am going to use a spatula and just kind of wipe a little bit of rusty nail in random areas and a little bit of yellow, and then I'm going to wipe it back just so it looks like those colors are kind of layered in there. This is going to be a lot of color and a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do the decoupage on the doors, and then while it's drying I can turn it to the side, and I'm going to show you, this is what I'm doing to the sides. See the drawn in colors, it looks very uneven. That's the pure ocean, and the Gulf is streaked on there. That's why boho is so fun. You can just get your colors on there and you don't have to worry about having a perfect blend. You want that texture. Okay, so I'm gonna do the decoupage first on these 2 doors, and then we're gonna start painting. And what I'm gonna be decoupaging with is Dixie-Belle's clear coat in satin. You can use gator hide, you can use clear coat in satin, you can use the flat, you can use the gloss. You can use any of the clear coats for a decoupage medium. So I've got my clear coat and satin ready to go. If I'm doing the iron-on method, I prefer gator hide. I do prefer gator hide. It reactivates with the iron much easier. Okay, so let's go ahead and start decoupaging. Okay, and I think I'm gonna start with this one right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and cut it right at the bottom of this tile, so that I'm not wasting any paper. I save every little bit of my paper. Okay, so I'm gonna do this first one. Okay, so just the 2 little tiles is what's gonna fit on there. Okay, and I'm gonna put a coat of clear coat on here real quick. Just get that on there.
Are you gonna add the darker blue in the last 2 doors?
I'm gonna have, this blue is gonna be carried all the way over, the same color. I'm gonna paint it for you tonight. I'm going to carry the same scheme around. The whole piece is going to be pure ocean and the Gulf. And then I'm going to be adding in with a spatula or like a putty knife, little hints of the other colors that are found in the tile. Just to make it kind of look like old, kind of a Latin feel to it, even though the tiles are the Moroccan tiles. But I want to have that kind of layered look. And I don't normally get to do these kind of pieces because of the area I'm in. So since this piece is one I get to keep because it's my workshop piece, I decided to keep it. So I got a nice generous coat on. And I'm looking in the light. The light, I can't express enough about how important light is when you're using, anytime you're using a clear coat and you can't see what you're doing. You want that light, because if you look at an angle and you find an area that doesn't have a little bit of clear coat there, that area is not going to stick with decoupage. Okay, so now I'm just going to line it up. Now this paper is not like very, very fragile, where once you lay it down, it's going to tear like a napkin when you pull it back up. This, if I need to reposition it, I can lift it back up and reposition it. Just make sure I don't take all the clear coat with it. I might have to reapply clear coat if, for some reason, I need to reposition it. Okay. Get it started. Okay. I think that looks good. I'm going to be painting on the edges of it too. Now you can use like a brush to rub out your bubbles. You can use a credit card. You can use a squeegee. I'm just using, I like the Dixie Belle Scarlet because it's nice and it doesn't have it's got like, it's a little bit stiffer than the normal brush. I like to use that to push the bubbles out. Okay, use my finger a little bit. So I'm working it out to the sides. Now I'm going to work it down. If I get any wrinkles, I'm going to push it out to the side. I'm looking off at the angle. That's my best bet. And if I do get some wrinkles, I can lift it back up if I need to. Okay. Let me use my finger. Just pushing out any of those bubbles out, letting the air escape out to the edges. Okay, I will be clear coating on top of this when it dries, but I'm going to let it dry. I'll probably let it dry overnight because I usually use the iron method, but with this method, I want that clear coat underneath to be really dry. So that way when I put my top coat on it, you know when you put your top coat on top and you get all those wrinkles and those bubbles? Well, if I let my clear coat dry overnight, I'm less apt. When you put something wet on a water-based product, so when you put a water-based product on a water-based product and the other one hasn't dried yet, you could reactivate it. So I want the clear coat underneath to be fully dry, and then I'm gonna come back and put my clear coat on top tomorrow, and so that I'm not gonna be reactivating that clear coat underneath.
Can you clear coat before it dries?
Yeah, I can put a clear coat on it right now. I want to avoid too many wrinkles, so I am going to do the clear coat on top tomorrow. I want that clear coat underneath to fully dry. That way I'm going to have less chance of it reactivating the clear coat underneath if it soaks through, and then I get more bubbles and more stretching. I want that clear coat to dry nice and dry with that paper, and then when I add the next coat on, less chance of getting as much bubbles and wrinkles. And if you do get bubbles and wrinkles and you didn't use the iron-on method, no problem. If you got bubbles or wrinkles, then right away take your you put your clear coat on, you let it dry, and you notice it's really bubbling up. Once it's dry, within like 30 minutes, 45 minutes or so after it's dry, and you can take your iron, just put some parchment paper down, set your iron at a cotton setting, turn the steam off, and you can iron out all those bubbles and wrinkles. Okay, so that's the first piece. So isn't that gonna be pretty? I love the Moroccan tile paper. Now, I wanna pick a different pattern. Let's see. I think that one will look good with it. Okay, and I'm gonna do another pattern down here. I'm gonna let this dry just so I can show you. I'm gonna sand off. Once it's dry, I'm gonna sand off this little edge here, and then I'm gonna start painting around the edges for detail. Okay, so let me go ahead and get the clear coat on. Pretty. I like this. Let's do one more door real quick so you can get the idea of what it looks like, and then I'm going to show you the painting. Okay, one more door. Now let's go to the painting. I showed you the side earlier, so and I will do the bottom drawer as well, but let me show you I got one coat on here because the first coat is always, we always say, I'll come back and do a second coat. It's in its ugly phase. I got the first coat on just so that I can show you with the second coat so you know what it's gonna look like. Okay, so with this is such an easy technique. Let me get I am gonna use one brush for the whole thing. I can use my Scarlet. I'll show you with the Scarlet. I'll do the Scarlet, but I'm also gonna show you with the Dixie Belle Mini in case you're limited on what kind of brushes you have. You can use a premium chip brush for this as well too. Okay, so I'm gonna be using Pure Ocean. Look at that. Pure Ocean, look at that turquoise. And I'm gonna be using the Golf. There's the Golf. So those are the two colors I'm using. I'll show them to you side by side so you can see how complementary they are. See how those look pretty together? Okay, so I'm gonna show you with using a mini, but I'm also gonna show you with the Scarlet. Now this is such an easy technique, guys. You're just gonna do, I did it on the sunset piece. You're gonna be doing just slashes of colors in random areas. So I'll be doing Pure Ocean, Pure Ocean, Pure Ocean. I'll come back and put Golf, Golf, Golf in different areas. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna show you actually with the Scarlet first. Okay, with the Scarlet, I'm gonna dip into this is what's nice too. The 16-ounce containers, the Scarlet fits right down in them, perfect. So Scarlet, I love it. Okay, I'm gonna get some, I'm gonna be generous. I'm gonna get some Pure Ocean on here. I'm gonna mist my piece. And I'm just gonna put some slashes of Pure Ocean. And I'm being generous, like I said, I'm being generous with the paint. I'm gonna put slashes of Pure Ocean all over in random areas. You don't have to worry about blending. We're doing boho, okay? So I got some random slashes of the Pure Ocean going on. I'll show on the front with the Dixie Belle Mini. Okay, I'll put some more up there. And I'm not gonna switch brushes. Okay? See how you get this in these crevices? Okay, so see how I've got them in random places? I'm not going to even clean my brush. Don't double dip in your containers. I'm gonna double dip into my lid. So you're going to now I'm doing the Golf. Sorry, this is the Pure Ocean, now I'm doing the Golf. Mix it with a little bit of water, and I'm going to come into all these areas. And I'm using water to keep the water moving, or to keep the paint moving. Okay, I'm gonna keep getting these colors. And the nice thing about doing the boho, this piece had damage. This is my workshop piece. I didn't want to fix damage. Boho it just adds character. And if you have a little bit of damage here and there, it just adds to the character. I'm wiping over my Pure Ocean with the Golf. I'm gonna be adding some more Golf in here. And I'm being very generous with the paint. I don't know if you can see, I'm being very generous with my paint. Okay? You can paint a piece so fast with this technique. Okay? I'm gonna come back in with some more Pure Ocean because I have too much Golf on here, I can tell. I want to be able to see the two different separate colors. I'm just dragging these colors together so you can see all these different variations. Using a little water, just drag the colors together. I'm gonna come back in with my Pure Ocean because my Golf is kind of taken over. And you can do more than just two colors. You could come in here and use several different colors. Just remember, keep in mind, whatever colors you put on here, when they blend together, make a third color. So if there's a color you absolutely don't want in your piece, think about the colors you're putting on here. So if I had red and white someplace on here, you know that makes pink, and if you don't want pink on your piece, you gotta think about your colors. Okay, but these two colors, Pure Ocean and the Golf, make a gorgeous color when they're combined. So I'm gonna add a little bit more Pure Ocean. I think I need some in here, so I'm gonna drag some more in here in random areas. If my brush gets too muddy, I'm gonna clean it off on an area that I haven't painted yet, or I can take a paper towel to it. So I got too much paint on there, so I'm gonna use it in a different area. Okay. Okay, so now I got these little streaks in here. Mist it with a little bit of water, and just use the Scarlet to your advantage. The stiffness, it's not all that stiff, but it's not as flexible as the Dixie Belle Mini. You see how I can just go up and down and just drag those colors together. This brush, I gotta tell you, is perfect for dragging colors together. I did a Harley piece about a year ago, and I did like Rusty Nail, Hurricane Gray, and Drop Cloth. It looked like one of those Mexican rugs that, you know, they're a woven rug. They're absolutely gorgeous. That's what it looks like. But see here, can you see all that color differentiate, the differences in the color? See those streaks? That's what I want. Okay, I'm gonna show you a couple different, I'm gonna show you the doors too. But let's do this bottom door real quick. And you'll be able to see it because you're at an angle. Okay, so now let's say you just have, let me spray this with water real quick so they don't dry out on me. Okay, now let's say you just have the Dixie Belle Mini and you don't want to have to buy more brushes. And you have just one Dixie Belle Mini. That's all you need. Okay, so I'm gonna mist this with a little bit of water. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm going to be putting in my slashes. I never start on the hardware holes because you don't want to get the runs. I'm gonna put a slash there. This is the first coat. Your first coat never looks good. Okay, well, I can't say never, but don't count on your first coat always looking the way you want it. Okay, so see how I'm just like hitting spots? Okay, so I want to come in right there. And this technique, you don't have to be nice and neat. You're just getting the colors on. Not changing brushes, okay? Now I'm going into the Gulf. See, contaminating my brush, I don't care. Okay, so I'm not gonna go on the holes, I'm gonna go in between, just so I can get some of the paint off my brush. And then I'm gonna go over it, okay? Hit those areas where there's no paint. See how I'm doing that? It looks funny right now, but we're gonna pull it all together, okay? Okay, now I'm gonna drag it all together. So I'm just going to, and I can wipe my brush off. I don't have a paper towel, so I just have to use my applicator pad, I guess. Okay, so now I'm just gonna drag it all the way across, pulling those colors together. See, it's going back and forth and pulling those colors together. See how it's streaked? Now if I decide I need more Pure Ocean, I'm just gonna come in, I'm gonna feather in some Pure Ocean, and just go back and forth, just dragging those colors together. So the Dixie Belle Mini can also work for this. Now that's the first coat. You're just dragging the colors together. See how you can see the different colors? You want it to look like it's kind of worn away, and that's what I'm going for. Okay, so you can use the Dixie Belle Mini. One brush will get you through this whole project, okay? And we're not gonna worry about all these borders and all of this until our second coat. This is dry. I can sand this now. And I'm gonna take a Dixie Belle sanding sponge. You can use any sanding paper you want. I'm using a 220 grit sandpaper. This is their sanding sponge. It's equivalent to a 220 grit. And I'm just going to rub along my edges. It is gonna score that paper and allow that paper just to pop right off. I don't want to pull it up too soon because I don't want to pull off my sheet because I just decoupaged this. Just rubbing and pulling at the same time, just gently pulling. Once that's scored, it's going to tear right where you sanded. There we go. See, that's what it's going to look like. Save these for other projects, okay? Okay, let's do some spatula painting. And I'm gonna do it around this area here, all this area here, and this area here, just so you can see what I'm doing. This is my paints from earlier. They're still sitting on my tray. I'm using a little palette knife. I'm gonna dip into my red first, Now I could dip into my yellow at the same time if I want to and get a little bit of yellow on here, which is the kernel mustard. So I can do that. I don't want too much on there because I want this to look scrapey, like distressed, okay? So I got just a little bit of paint on there. So now what I'm gonna be doing is I'm just gonna grab at an angle. It's hard to do this off to the side. I should be in front of it. I'm just going to run my spatula down all these high points where scratches would normally occur. See how I'm putting those little scratches in there? And if I get too much on it, just scrape it, stretch it, make it go even farther. I'm hitting all of my high points, getting a little bit of that red and that yellow. I'm gonna be putting some wax on here, but I like to get all my corners and my edges. I'm gonna be painting in there, so I'm not too worried about it, but I'll bring you guys in as close as I possibly can so you guys can see this. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. I can just do yellow, which is the kernel mustard, and then come back and do the red separately. Just hitting all these high points and just dragging my spatula. Okay, so I'm just dragging some of this red. The red I'm using is actually rusty nail, and I want to hit all of these edges. I mean, not like 100%, but wherever I'm hitting, I just want to make sure there's some spots on all these little edges, because that's where you scratch a piece in the first place. So I want it to look like it's distressed and there's colors underneath. You can take a sanding block to it if you want it even more distressed. I just keep dipping in between colors. I have very little paint on my spatula. Turn your spatula in different directions and just drag. See how it's just adding? I can't tell on the phone if you can see it. So I'm just gonna keep going here for a little bit, grabbing some more of the kernel mustard, which is the yellow, and just dragging gently. If I get it on too heavy, I'll come back and I will turn my spatula in a different direction and just drag it. Or I'll put the rusty nail on top of it. Now, rusty nail is more of a burnt orange. And if I have an area too thick, like this might be a little bit too red, it's okay. I can take a sanding block to it after this all dries and distress it a little bit more. Or I can take these colors, these blues and these greens. This is the Gulf. This is Pure Ocean. I can drag the Gulf and Pure Ocean over this, and that will also disguise some of it. But this is what I'm gonna bring you in close with my cables. That is what I'm going for. I just want those colors to be peeking in and just look kind of chippy without actually doing the work of being chippy. You know, another way to do it is you could actually paint layers underneath it, like paint the red and the yellows underneath your blues and your greens, and then take a wet baby wipe and wipe it back. But I didn't want to do that because I want it to be a little bit more chippy looking, not wet distress looking. So, okay, love and hugs, everybody. Have a fabulous weekend. Happy 4th of July. Be safe and relax, have some fun, and maybe do a little painting. Okay, thanks for joining me. Love and hugs. Talk to you later.